Hello, hello, Rockaway Borough. Okay, you can tell that I'm in the hallways because it's echoing. Walking towards the cafeteria right now. Oh, they've got it propped open. Perfect. I'm gonna try and rustle my papers less this time and pay attention, and hopefully these recordings help. Have a good night.
So whatever you get, yeah, you get it. The first, this is a resolution on the agenda, is a resolution to appoint Mr. Anthony Grieco as the temporary board secretary from March 18th through June 30th. There is a motion. Is there a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Before we go into reports and updates, Mr. Grieco, do you want to comment on the few differences of what was posted on the website?
Sure.
I think if you grabbed it at the door, it's updated.
Yeah, it's updated.
And the website is updated, but if you looked at it before
Yeah, I did.
some point today.
Yeah, if you look at the website, it says revision 2. So there was a revision 1 this morning, where we added on page 6. I don't think your copies are double-sided, mine are. So it's page 6 under personnel letter I, which is to approve a substitute teacher for the district, Kyra Marino. So that first revision was that added, as well as a class trip for Ms. Singara. The teachers are a multiply disabled class in Thomas Jefferson. They commonly go on trips for assisted daily living, so it's part of their program. So that was the first, and then the second revision was on page 4 under finance. The bills list was changed to $760,235, and that's just because we posted our payroll for March 28th, which should be approved at this meeting, as well as our a payment to PERS, so the Public Employees Retirement System. It's employer liability for annual pension contributions, so it's similar to the same amount last year. It's $155,000 this year, $852 last year. I believe it was $151,000. So that's, every district has to do that every year. It's due this time of year, so we wanted to make sure we got that out the door. Pretty much, those are the only three changes, but we thought it was important to put them on now so we could get things out.
Thank you. Board committee reports. Going down the list, I think the first thing we had was, well, we had a meeting since that finance meeting, but we'll continue to meet, particularly where we were discussing potentially next week as the administration prepares budget presentation and other details. It says 4/8 for negotiations with RBAA, but that did not take place. That was canceled, so postponed. Postponed, we just don't know that date yet.
Mr. Grieco, can I request, please, a curriculum special education committee meeting
Sure.
prior to any summer reading stuff coming out? So we,
Yeah. That is you
Me and Vanessa.
Yeah. Send out some
you
dates.
okay with that, Vanessa? Sorry, I
Yeah.
didn't ask you that.
No, that's fine.
Look for like house at 4:30. What's a good time for you? to
For
start?
me, after 5.
5:15, 5:30.
Yeah, 5:15 is fine.
Okay.
That's fine.
How's that? Good.
We had a meeting in March with the RBEA. Mrs. Georgioulis and I, and me, had a good kickoff meeting in March.
I'm sorry, I didn't
Continue to
know.
meet. What's that?
Your name wasn't on there, I think.
That's all
I
right.
just-
Well, I was not on
Yeah, it was
the committee or
the adoption, yeah.
the doctor.
I'll add it to you.
Any other committee meetings that we have?
There's nothing else since that time. I don't think so.
All right, that takes us to anything to report from liaison reports. I attended, I don't think this is technically in my role as any sort of liaison, but I attended the Morris County, the NJ School Boards Association Morris County Unsung Heroes Awards event. There was an 8th grader from our school as part of the event, where Mr. Samuels introduced them and said some nice words about them. I did not check with the family to use the name, so I'm not going to do it. But overall, it was a good event. It was a student from the top grade in each of the districts in Morris County that was nominated from within the districts. It was a nice event. There was a mixture of, it was at Knowles. There was, and for districts like Hills that had 2 high schools, they had two people presented, but it was nice to hear the stories. There was, I want to say something like 40-something kids there, maybe. Yeah, I forgot. I don't know if I have the, I'm sure we can get the program or something like that. I have a copy of it
I
somewhere.
think it gets emailed to all of us.
Okay, that's good. And in fact, the program, I think the program that we got walking in was a different program than what the participants got, with more full-page images. So like the slide presentation that they went with an image of the student and where they're from, I think was part of it. And it was actually one of the students from one of the high school, might have been both, I'm not sure, but it was one of the high school students who actually put the program together. Part of what they did was, design and things like that. So overall, it's just a nice event. I liked seeing one of our students there. Hopefully they appreciate it. They got to go and had some nice things said. Mr. Sanders did a great job with his intro for them as well. Anything else for liaison reports? All right, superintendent's report, Mr. Grieco.
Good evening. So one of the things I want to talk about is the new business performance reports were just released. I'm going to share them with everybody in district, and by the end of the week, I'm going to send them out to families. But I just want to highlight overall, I think last year I focused on probably at 2 different points in time. One was our meeting we had for strategic planning, and then another time in here. So the first year that the state went back to measuring growth was 21-22. I'm sorry, 22-23, which was the report we got last year, and 23-24 was from the previous year. So from 21-22 to 22-23, using 21-22 as the baseline, we exceeded standards by 61% in 22-23 compared to 21-22, and that was 61%. Students exceeded the state standard in ELA, so in English Language Arts, and in math, we exceeded the standard by 65%. So now 23-24, we met the standard in ELA by 55%, the state standard, and in math, we met the standard of 55%, at 55%. So the growth went down a little bit, but at some point the growth's going to go down a little bit. And looking at performance, I was very happy. Overall, we haven't dug into all the grades yet, but it'll be in the report. In 21-22 for English Language Arts, our percentage of students that scored 4s or 5s. So you could score 1, 2, 3, 4, or 5. So 4s and 5s are the higher end of the NJSLA assessment. 47.9% in 21-22, 50.9%, so that was below state average. In 22-23, we went up to 50.9% below state average. And in 23-24 for ELA, we're up to 57%, which meets the state average. So that's almost a 10% increase from 21-22 to 23-24. And I'll send this out to staff too in a short email before I send out the whole report to parents. In math, we had pretty much the same jump. So in 21-22, 39.9% of students met the state average, 39.9. 45.9% met the state average in 22-23, and in 23-24 we went up to 48. So that's almost a 9% increase, 8.1 to be exact. So 8.1 increase and 8.1 increase and 9.1 increase in ELA in 2 years. So I think we're doing a good job, and in both we met the state. So I think we're trending in the right direction. Like I said, the growth went down a little bit, but at some point, you plateau with your growth. I mean, it doesn't always, it's good to see that you're growing, but now we've kind of leveled off with growth, which is good, but our performance keeps increasing. So I was very happy with those numbers. That's actually a 6.1 increase from last year in math, and a 2.1% increase in, a 2.1 increase in math and a 6.1 increase in ELA. And if you look at the 2-year growth, it's 9.1 and 8.1, so it's looking good.
Do we have,
The grade breakdowns?
no, I'm sure you have all of that.
Yeah.
I guess, maybe too soon. Do we know what we attribute that to? Like, do we have certain things that we've done? in
I
past
think
years
so. I
that-
think we've added a NAC intervention specialist. We've done a lot more intervention at all levels, throughout the day. We've implemented one in Gillingham. I think all of it's helped from the non-tested grades that start in Miss Leslie's class. I'm not just saying because she's sitting here, in pre-K all the way up to, I think our students are prepared. And we're getting a lot more students that are not as prepared as we'd want them to be sometimes for no factors that they, caused on their own. Just sometimes the situations that they've come from are difficult for us to navigate, but I think we're really moving in the right direction. I think a lot of our programs are good. I think we're continuously looking at what's working, what's not working. So I think our teachers are really, that's testament to the teachers and kind of buying into what we're doing.
Mr. Grieco, just for a full understanding, who is not, we know the grade levels, but who is not tested or who's not required to be tested?
3 to 8 is tested.
Right, but as far as our specialized population?
Oh, this is everybody, this is overall. We don't have that many students that don't test.
Okay, so even if
We
we
don't have
have
many.
a student who's been in the country for 2 years,
They're
tested.
Yes, yeah.
So with our numbers of, yes, right, we're still showing huge
Yeah.
increases
Yeah.
in ELA.
It's not easy. I mean,
No, I just
it's
think
not
I
easy.
think it's important to note that,
Yeah.
though,
Yeah.
because that's tremendous.
Yeah, our students,
Well done.
just in general, our enrollments increased 39 in general, 39 extra students since June of last year to April 1st. I think that's on the agenda on the third page? Fourth page, the bottom of that chart, you can see it's a plus 39
Yeah.
from June 30th last year to June 30th, to April 1st of now, 2 days ago, a week ago. So plus 39, it's a lot of students for us to absorb. So,
Thank you. Any other questions on the superintendent's report? Mr. Grieco, do you have anything for the board secretary or business administrator report?
No, we're just looking at everything for next year's budget, and,
Okay. All right, that takes us to the administration monthly reports that were in the packet. Any questions from the board on those?
Not a question, but a comment. Ms. Scomille, and, Lincoln School, presented a talent show last Thursday. And I wanted to, recognize, a handful of teachers who either put it on or put together a really tremendous inflatable performance. Mrs. Reyes, Mrs. Yobes, Ms. Caliendo, Mrs. Marrero, obviously Ms. Scomiel, and Ms. Scomiel's daughter, who was one of the MCs for the evening. I'd like to give a special shout out to Mr. Boba, who is my duet partner. What made that even better for me is I met with Mr. Boba after school one afternoon to rehearse. And he showed me all this really cool stuff he uses to teach music, which we had like a glockenspiel, you know, like the little metal xylophone when I was in school, and I think the most high tech we got was like that special chalk holder that made the 3 lines, right? And and it's free software, which makes it, I think, even better for us anyway. And I was just super impressed with everything he was able to do, and that he was able to show off his skills, at least to me, after school, as a board member, not being in a music classroom, to see how much can actually be done in regards to music. And so I teach seniors in high school, and music is absolutely essential to their identity. So seeing it being nurtured at such young ages, and Mr. Boba, who is, hey, Mr. Boba, I need help. Oh, sure, what do you need? It's just, I think we're very fortunate in the borough to have a lot of teachers that are willing to volunteer and contribute. I think Mr. Boba goes above and beyond, and he was backstage, like running music, and the curtain at one point, and the mics, and the, you know, and then to see these teachers and Ms. Comiel come out in these inflatable animal costumes, was one of the best things I've seen in a long, long time, and it felt really good to be a member of the Rockaway Borough community.
And kids enjoyed it?
They had a blast. There were, I mean, some of these young folks were so passionate about what they were doing. They shared various aspects of their culture, of parts of their lives that were super important to them, that they wanted to highlight. It went from, we had a very talented hula hooper. We had some young women who were in more cultural, I'm just gonna use the word costumes, that shared more cultural jams. We had a couple of boys who were really belting out some songs. There was a girl who tackled Let It Go, which is a very challenging song to sing. And some athletes. It was really, and a kindergartner who was doing gymnastics. Yeah, and so I applaud her. She was the youngest performer. It was really cool.
Sorry I wasn't able to make it. You would not have gotten me to perform even if I was available.
I did, I
So kudos to you for that, and thank you to Ms. Comiel for bringing that
Yeah,
to the school.
it was fun.
Any other administration reports?
Mr. Reyes, I guess, I noticed that a lot of Chromebooks went out for repairs and a lot's going on with software, smart boards, so I just hope that, you know, he's getting what he needs for the teachers, especially with, I guess, docking stations, a lot of things are going out, batteries, so I guess he said batteries should be in by the 8th. So hopefully teachers or staff are getting what they need. CapCut is not is there an issue with cap cut?
Paper cut.
Paper cut,
Yeah,
I'm sorry.
we may remove it temporarily. I think the direction that we're trying to go, we want something in place, but it seems to be having a lot of issues that we may,
So they will print it elsewhere.
well, that's what we're gonna have to do, is just trying to get back to the old way. Solving this problem. So I already gave them the green light yesterday to shut it down if we continue to have issues. And he's been contacting them a lot, so.
Is it the software itself, like the
It's
machine
their,
itself?
it's been their issue,
On their
which
end?
doesn't help. It doesn't help the problem. It's still an issue for us day to day, and it's even a problem by us. So, kind of still, I just, not permanent, but, shut it down for now, and we'll, if we continue to have issues, so.
Okay.
That was the last we spoke earlier today, so we'll talk again tomorrow and kind of come up with a plan for it.
Okay, thank you.
So, but it could just, the next step is just to shut it down until we can figure out what the issue is. If we have to go to another vendor, we will. So it's unfortunate that we're having so many issues.
All right, other comments from the board to the good of the order? And that takes to a review of agenda items. Mr., any questions from anybody, or Mr. Britt, anything that you want to point out for us?
Just those 3 changes, which I just wanted to point out in case somebody had an old copy or was working off an old copy.
I just have a question for 9, well, I guess it's a field trip with Mr. Onisha. Is that, are those all athletes from the school, or are they handpicked with 75 kids? How was that worked out? I don't know if you know Mr. Grieco or.
I can find out. It's, I'm assuming it's,
It says specifically athletes. Does
Yeah.
that mean that it's going to be kids that participate in
probably in
sports?
spring.
But it says 5 to 8, which means it could be
Could be
inclusive of the
yeah.
run club. 'cause
I don't know the selection process here.
If you can get back to me,
Yeah,
thank you.
100%.
That will take us to the first public comment section. There will be another, will be 2. One on agenda items, and then the second one will be on any topic. And with that, I'll open the floor. Public comments? Public comment on agenda items. That will take us to then the consent agenda. Number 12. Is there any motion?
Second.
I'm sorry, Mr. Fernandez. Mr. Joe. Mr. Rubecchio.
Yes.
Ms. Dahl.
Aye.
Mr. Graff.
Yes.
All passed.
All right.
Sorry about that.
That takes us to number 13 on the left page, which is, I'm sorry, there were 2 more comment sections. This next comment section will be a public hearing, public comment for the superintendent's employment agreement. So by law, when we are looking at the superintendent's employment agreement, there's some posting requirements to advertise that this is happening. That's what you see here, what's been posted on our website and in the newspaper, is that the board is has discussed with the superintendent a new agreement. So the language here says that the existing agreement would be rescinded and a new agreement would take place July 1st, 2025 through June 30th, 2030. That would be voted on the intention is for that to be voted on May agenda. It's here on this agenda in April. And with that, I will open the floor to public comment on that topic.
Katie Clark.
Hi.
Hi. Do you need my address for the minutes or anything?
I could get it. I think I had it from the last meeting.
Okay, good. Right, 66 West Flag Street. I don't know if you can tell me or tell us why you're rescinding the current one and then doing a new one, or is that just the normal cycle like
No,
that?
I think it's technically early. So
Okay.
his current 5-year agreement goes through next year.
Okay.
It's a reasonable time, 4 years in, to talk about the future. And so the board and Mr. Grieco discussed continuing. And so because the existing one is not done yet, the new one would have to replace it.
Okay.
Is that, I don't know if
Yeah, it's common, I don't want to say it's common practice, but it's pretty common practice.
Okay.
Yeah, so there's a whole procedure they have to go through, advertise for it, so.
And do the board secretary responsibilities fall under that, or is that just for the remainder of the school year?
This is for the
This is just the
for the
super.
superintendent contract.
Okay.
The temporary board secretary resolution that we voted on earlier and in the last couple of meetings, the one that we voted on today, would carry through the end of the year.
Okay.
That is separate and apart from Mr. Grieco's contract.
Okay. And if anyone I wanted to get a copy, is that the sort of thing that you can get copies of?
You can, technically, it needs to be approved by the county before we vote on
Okay.
it in May. After it gets approval.
Like people can open it?
The rights to request a copy. At some point, it becomes public record of what
Okay.
that is anyway.
Good, thank you.
Current one,
No, it's more just, not just for me that I want to read it, it's more understanding that this information is available and just how you get it, that's all. Thank you.
100%. So they'll-
Hi, Mary Leslie, 68 Hemlock Road. Is it standard for it to be a 5-year contract for a superintendent? Just curious.
If you ask me,
Anybody.
more 5 than 3 that I see.
Yeah, I usually, I put 4, but that's what
Yeah.
it's fine.
Yeah, it's usually 3 or 5. I mean, usually people want 5. More than, yeah. That's the highest you can go, is 5. I think the lowest you can go is 3. I think you can do a 4, I'm not sure. I think it's 3.
I would just think it would match the teacher cycle. That's what
Yeah,
Well, I mean, I don't think the teacher cycle necessarily has to be.
it's generally
There's been
3, I know,
different-
but it
different
hasn't been
numbers.
generally.
Yes. Any other topics? Okay. That'll take us to the third public comment session tonight. This one is for any topic, agenda or otherwise, same name and address. So it's here, but go ahead. We'll go open the floor.
Okay, I've got a couple, please. Hello. I'm glad Mr. O's not here, to be honest, because it might be a little awkward. Like it's, again, I just kind of want to know how it works more so than, having a reason, like why are you doing it? So the Rockaway sports program that's taking place at TJ over the summer, I think I'm going to be signing my son up, but is that something is there a contract between Rockaway sports program and the school? Like just because he's an employee and then Mr. Jones is going to be doing it, is there some sort of payment?
Do you want to answer that?
I can answer for you.
Sure, go ahead.
It's pretty common practice in, I don't want to say every district, but definitely in high school districts, and I know also in some K-8s for employees to request, use of facilities for a district. I know we even consulted with our attorney at length regarding insurance and things like that, so It's something that we had some questions about, but we, I think, got the answers that made it that it's something that we can do. I think
It's not the district's program.
Yeah.
It's a use of facilities.
Correct.
Yeah.
Which people can use
Mhm.
and apply to use them, and there's a whole,
Yeah.
there's a process that goes along with using facilities, and there's an order of preference, and there's a policy on the use of facilities.
Okay.
So if you meet the criteria of the policy, to Mr. Grieco's point, in this case, this is more than, a night in the gym, and so there certainly was consultation on how it works. The policy does call for payment.
Okay.
But I think transparently, I don't think the policy is written with a camp necessarily in mind. And so we identified something that we want to go back and look at with the policy.
Okay.
For field use and things like that, for the future.
Policy was very specific.
But otherwise, it meets the
Okay.
policy requirements of use of facilities.
I'm just thinking. Because the other programs, is it where it's an extension of the school, of the athletic program? Not in other districts you mentioned, right? Or is it a third party like it is? I know it's Mr. O and Mr. Jones doing it. I understand that.
Yeah.
And they probably got their own general liability insurance and all stuff like that.
Yes.
I know it's something that the town didn't want to do previously just because of all of those hurdles that, are obviously there with facilities and stuff. So are you saying for this summer, there is no payment from Rockaway Sports Program to the district for use of facilities?
There's no fee payment, but there could potentially be payment for custodians and other services that would cost if that was needed. So that's not needed at this
Okay.
point in time, we don't think, but it could change, so that's been discussed.
I mean, just as I'm a school parent, so it feels like it's like a conflict, even just saying it as a parent right now, whose kid might be coming, but just thinking about it from a non-parent perspective, there's a private organization using school facilities, and we get nothing from it. Because they're getting $350 a week per kid.
Yeah, there's no fee for fields in the policy. Like I said, there's some work we need to do on that policy, but the other thing that we discussed, first of all, the policy doesn't call for the board to make the decision, which is another interesting point of the policy that we're going to revisit. We have some work to do on that policy. It's a bit more procedural of what it covers in terms of who approves it, not being with the board. But that being said, some of what we've discussed is we've heard through last year's strategic planning session from the public of a need for this sort of activity. So the knee-jerk reaction from the board here is one of support, because it's going to help the community. It's not strictly for Rockaway Borough families, but Rockaway Borough families will benefit from it. And so, yeah, we may have some things to work out with the policy and look at, but we're not looking to be obstructionists.
No, not at all. And that's not what I'm suggesting in any way. It's more, if you do have to look at it, anyway, I think I encourage that you do, just because yes, it's something we want to offer, but at the same time, if it's a need, then surely Mr. O and the organisation would want to sort of give back to the district as well. I mean, there's going to be wear and tear on the facilities and whatnot. But
I wouldn't speak for Mr. O, but I don't think those things are off the table. I don't think anybody would come in here thinking that that there would never be something to give back to the district. But the other thing to keep in mind is this is a new program, right?
Yeah.
So it would be really hard. I don't know the answer. We said we want to look at the policy, but I don't know how that would apply to any individual program anyway. I don't know if an individual program is profitable on it. Like I just don't have as we start to think through the work we need to do on that policy, we have to think through some of those.
Yeah, I think maybe seeing how it goes over the summer, right? And if they're planning it again. But You know, so I guess my additional question was, is there some sort of agreement in place, like a contract of some sort, for them to use the facilities? Yeah.
There's storage form as well as the other things that are required, the insurance.
And they'd have to do that each year?
Yes.
Okay, then, you know, as things change, okay. And then I have one more question.
Yes, yes. I don't know if we're discussing the exact amount. Yeah, he did mention to us the potential of a donation to the district.
Okay, perfect.
But
And
we
the,
did do research with a lot of other districts that do something with staff that may want to run something. It's often in the sports realm, where it's
Yeah.
like, you know, the basketball coach has a 2-day camp. I know they have it in my town this week where, you know, it's his camp using the district facilities. And I know there's usually a lot of flexibility in those high school types of events, so that's.
oh yeah, I'm not against it at all. I need to sign my son up. Just questions, that's all. And then, Mr. Grieco, I did say I had some questions about the sale of the school property back there
Sure.
to AOG. Thank you for sending the information. I know it's on hold. I guess my first question is, has this ever been discussed in a public meeting? This sale of land or the interest in wanting to purchase it?
I think beyond that town meeting that I was at where it came up, no.
Okay.
Not one of our meetings. There was
Okay.
a public meeting that I believe the church hosted. There were at a restaurant, there were members of the community there. I was not there, whether or not they discussed obtaining land, and I use that language very specifically because there is, it's not even accurate to say that a land sale is on hold. There is no land sale. There was a discussion around the church obtaining land. There was a proposal of like letters of intent and things like that. There's nothing that the district has signed or agreements that they have entered into to do it. There hasn't been any formal applications submitted to the state that would be required to dispose of land. Nothing has happened in the way of action that would make it happen.
Okay. You said that there was some sort of application though, because I opened the information and there's a contract of sale of some sort for $35,000, and it's basically all of the Enchanted Trail.
There's an appraisal.
Yeah. And a Word doc or PDF that says
It was not done by the district.
it was done by them and sent to the
By them,
district.
sorry. Yeah. It was.
Yeah.
I'm trying to think of what other document.
No, that's the one I'm talking about. It's like, from June,
Yep.
I have to pull it up, June of last year, they had assessed it, the survey here, and then it's worth whatever, this is what we want to get it for.
Right.
And that's where it ended? Because that was
in terms of-
almost a year ago.
In terms of formal documentation?
Yeah.
Yes. I mean, there've been conversations
Okay.
with the church since then. But like I said, so keep in mind the context of the path that took, right? A desire to do what they would like to do in there, an identification that they potentially need a portion of land, and then the board looking through that and understanding what it actually takes to, like, what the options actually are, right? Because it's public land. It's not as though we can say, great, we'll sell it to you. So that's not even something that's on the table that you can do in that way. So that's why I'm pulling back on the idea that it's a land sale. We explored options of what is even possible, and there's certain ways to dispose, sell, donate, dispose, whatever it is, of public land. And in investigating some of those things, that all happened in that time as well. So to say that
Okay.
nothing happened, that's not. It's not as though the conversation ended, but there's no formal filing of anything. At the moment, there is no official action on the table.
Okay, well, that I guess that's good. I appreciate the background there, Because if there was, I don't know, again, what the procedure is for you getting rid of that land. I think that it should be a public meeting, like one that you advertise and tell people that this is what is happening,
Well, we
and that they
could not sell it. One of the things that we would not be able to do is just sell a piece of property, of district property, to whoever asks.
Okay.
It would have to be advertised. It would have to go out to bid. People would be able to bid on property. Before we did that, it would have to be approved by the state. There's part of what I'm saying is I think as you look at that and you say it's nearly a year ago that we have conversations, right? With our attorneys, there's other discussions of like, well, what is even on the table? It looks like a land sale, but we can't simply just sell land.
I know, I understand that there's procedures and stuff, but what I've also learned, having been to other meetings where things happen around town, is you can say, yes, there's going to be a public hearing, there's going to be this, that. By the time you get to that point, it is too late for residents to actually affect it. Because what has happened is you've worked through for the past 2 years, 3 years, all of the issues that could be stumbling blocks. By the time it gets to a public hearing, it's just residents here venting that you're taking away all of the woods back there and putting a building. Like, I told my son I was coming here. He's like, like genuinely, it's as simple as this for me, is, oh no, they're gonna take away all the Enchanted Trail? Like, that, and that's it. There's nothing else. And even if it doesn't go forward, and what are the options for giving them that land or whatever, if that land is developable, like, is that a word? The school needs to consider it for themselves and not to be transferring it to the church. That's my opinion. But I recognize that nothing's happening right now, but this is something that I feel extremely passionate about, that like, it's not a little bit of land, it's the entire woods up there on that hill. So, you know, I don't know whether the land would be transferred, because then in order for them to do that and to go through all of the approvals with the state, there's got to be some sort of guarantee or contingency with the land use board. Because if they buy that land and decide that that's where, you know, or get the land somehow, and then they want to build a community centre, what if the fire department says, yeah, it's a landlocked piece of land, it's always been woods, you can't put a building there, you can't fit the truck around? Then what? You know, has the school given up public land? You know, are the trees going to get cut down before they realize, you know, all of those kind of things?
Part of what makes it a more complicated process are protections from the state addressing some of what you're talking about. We are unable to simply make those decisions outside of the public eye, which is again, part of what makes it hard to do. It's part of what makes it a complicated process. There would have to be approvals from the state to do anything. There's, like I said, there's a lot of different aspects to what you're talking about. I think you're covering it correctly. There's a lot of things to consider. Some of that is beyond what we would consider as the board in terms of, you know, other things, but like, it's not our project.
No, I understand.
So I'm not sure if it's helpful to know that those protections are there, and it's not something that could be done quickly and outside of the public view.
Yeah.
Can I just state, in addition to that, I think we've already mistakenly sold property as a history to this town in an area where there's no property. So that's property that we could need at some point down the road, especially when you're looking at 70 units going across the highway and things like that too.
And that's part of the reason why the state makes it so difficult for school districts to dispose of land in any way, shape, or form, because it has happened recently. To other districts, I don't know the history that you're talking about. I've not been.
Washington's full.
Old school, yeah. I think I just felt it was in their best interest to listen to them.
We enjoy a very good relationship with the church.
Of course.
Yeah.
They're very
Yeah.
efficient.
Yeah, and plan to continue, and so it makes sense to listen, and if there's a way, that there's ways that we can help them, we would do them, but those are all ways that would be within public use.
I think most of the conversation had to do with the obstacles around even having a conversation, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
That's, you know, and that's why we got the attorney involved right away, and their attorney is a, I guess because they're allowed to, their attorney is a board member in their church.
I'm not sure. Yeah, but I mean,
Yeah,
that's, the
there's-
attorneys were.
Unlike here, we can't have, you know, Mr. Graff or Ms. Dahl act as, you know, an attorney for the board, so it's a little different. So it's brought them together just to kind of see what even the options were, and we didn't know necessarily how much was needed in the beginning, so there was a lot of different conversations.
No, I appreciate that. I just think that you say it can't be done outside of the public eye, but it kind of has been up until this point. And the first time that I heard that we were even considering a new community centre in town was when there was a video saying we're raising $5 million for a new community centre. Like, where? Like, I thought it was going within the fence borders of the church property. That's, you know, it's 4/5 of an acre of land up there. So it's going to be quite big. So, you know, just all of those things that it just seems in certain aspects it's cart before the horse, right? And maybe I'm jumping to conclusions right now, or I'm panicking. But at the same time, like, before we know it, there'll be a new building there and it won't belong to the school. So anyway, that's my hyperbolic statement over. Thank you.
Sure.
Ms. Clark, I can't speak for all the board members, and we have 2 new board members since those conversations started. These are not things that I would take lightly. My kids love the Enchanted Trail, the outdoor classroom, all of those sorts of things. As an educator myself, I see the value in the extra little stuff that we do have that other districts don't. And I would not just throw those things away. So
No, I
rest
appreciate
assured
that, Jen.
that, you know, we try to consider everything. And know, you know, our treasures here in the district. Yeah. So please reassure your son.
I think even
Yeah,
though
I'll let him go in there for the next couple of years. It's fine.
I think even though the time frame seems like a long time, there's a much longer time even than that, almost year, to go through some of the hurdles, if there was even an intent to sell, and there wasn't.
I know.
You know,
I
so
know.
it's-
I told
Yeah.
you
I
last time I was here, I go to town meetings, and when you work backwards from the apartments that are going up on 46, you work backwards from the one RPM housing development there. You're looking 2-3 years back, right? That's when the conversations are happening, and it's not, yes, I get to get in there. It's, oh, you're talking about it now, so I guess it's for awareness and just understanding what the thinking is, and that you all have the best interests of the students in the district at heart. So, thank you.
Just to piggyback on Jen, we're very transparent, you know, we don't go into hiding places and say, hey, let's do this, let's do that without telling anybody. You know, we love everybody here, we love the staff, we love the kids. If I can get bleachers in Lincoln, I'd love to do it. If I can get a second floor over here, I'd do that, but,
Yeah.
you know, we're all doing the best we can. We're all doing the best we can, you know, and, you know, the thing next door, you know, that was going on for a while, and we were both going back and forth, and, you know, it's, you know, hey, we know what we all want, and hopefully one day that could happen, but we're all doing the best we can for your kids, so.
And I know I emailed you, like, I'd still be happy at one day to show you, like, I mean, everything's mostly in there, but it's just, there's so many different little conversations that.
We actually did a tour ourselves,
Yeah.
so that we knew very specifically exactly what was, what parcel was being discussed and what it encompassed, so that we were properly informed and making asking questions accordingly.
You got lost in the Enchanted Forest.
I
We
did.
had to
It's so
call you to
beautiful.
get you back.
Yeah. When we first like discovered that, I think even before we were in the school, like it's beautiful up there. And maybe I'll hold my idea to, hey, let's do up the Enchanted Trail. Let's, give it a couple of the size of liquor paint. Maybe we won't right now. But I appreciate it. I'm not suggesting that you're on transparent. Coming here, I'm getting used to kind of coming and talking to you guys as well, because you have been. We ask you a question, or I ask you a question, you answer as best you can. So thank you for that. I think that's all people are asking for.
Other comments? That Mark, you're going to it.
Just.
Yeah, it's fine, okay. Anyone who want to go through that motion? Any other comments before we close the floor? All right, thank you. Our next regularly, our next regularly scheduled meeting will be Tuesday, May 6th. The public portion of the meeting will be at 7:30 in the cafeteria of the Thomas Jefferson Middle School. There is no need to go into executive session, and so is there a motion to adjourn the meeting? Is there a second? I heard, Ms. Hernandez.